Ramakatha Rasavahini, Prema Sudhamritavahini, Sathya Sanatani Dharma Swarupini, Shanti Pradayini Mokshakarini, Ramakatha Rasavahini, Ramakatha Rasavahini.
Sai Ram. We just to recollect where we are in the study of the Ramakatha Rasavahini. We are studying chapter 4 of Ramakatha Rasavahini. Dasharatha had invited sage Rishishringa to come and perform the Putra Kameshti Yajna. He came and he performed, and the Agni Deva, or the god of fire, the ritual fire, appeared and handed over a vessel of payasam with instructions to divide it among the queens, which was told by the Ashariri, or the ethereal voice. And Sage Vasishta had divided and distributed to the queens and instructed them to drink it. And the Kaushalya and Kaikeyi kept their vessels in the puja shrine room and went and dried their hair and came back. Whereas Sumitra had gone upstairs to the terrace, and she was thinking whether it was worthwhile having a son, because Kaushalya's son would be the natural heir for the throne. Kaikeyi also will have a son, and that son also may get the kingdom because she was promised before the marriage. So she felt, so it was a moment of doubt in her mind. Thus far we had read. So I will stop here and we can continue to, maybe we will read it once. If anyone would like to discuss any of the points, we will discuss. Otherwise, we will move on. Sai Ram, Uncle Gopalan, please go ahead.
Sai Ram. The queens finished the ceremonial bath as advised by the preceptor. They entered the palace shrine where the altar of the family deity was. Vasishta completed the ceremony of worship. The payasam, food that the divine person presented, was then placed in 3 golden cups. Then Vasishta called Dasharatha in and said, Raja, give these cups to your wives, first to Kaushalya, next to Sumitra, and last to Kaikeyi. The king acted as ordered. They laid hold of the cups and fell at the feet of Vasishta and Dasharatha. Then Vasishta directed that they should partake of the payasam only after touching the feet of Rishisringa, who officiated at the yaga. Therefore, Kaushalya and Kaikeyi kept their cups safe in the shrine and went among their maids to dry their hair before attending to coiffure. Meanwhile, Sumitra stepped to the terrace and, keeping her cup on the short parapet wall, she dried her hair in the sun, ruminating all the time on her peculiar plight. She was the second queen. The son of the eldest queen will ascend the throne. As of right, the son of Kaikeyi, the third queen, can ascend the throne according to the promise made by the king at the time of his marriage with her. But Sumitra wondered, what will happen to the son I would get? He will be neither here nor there. we have a son. We have a son at all to suffer as nobody without status and sovereignty. Better far that a son is not born than he born and not neglected. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Uncle. Anyone would like to discuss any of the points? If no one has anything to discuss, we can proceed. I will advance. Yes, Uncle, please read.
But that was only for a moment. Soon she reconciled herself. She felt that what the gods decide must happen. None can stop it. She remembered that it was the command of her preceptor and the order of the king. So she went towards a cup, determined to eat the contents, when, lo and behold, an eagle flew in from somewhere and whisked it off on its beak far, far into the sky. Sumitra repented for her negligence of the precious payasam. She felt that the king would be very upset if he came to know of the mishap. She could not decide on her next step. She went straight to her sister Kausalya and related the whole story to her. Just then Kaikeyi too came there with the gold cup. After tying up her dried hair, the three were very loving to each other, like sisters bound by one single silken thread of affection. So, to avoid breaking the saddening news to the king, they had another gold cup brought, and Kausalya and Kaikeyi poured it into poured it a portion each from their own share, so that all could take their seats together in the shrine. They ate the payasam while Rishishringa was pronouncing his blessings, and other elders and scholars were chanting auspicious Vedic hymns. The queens then sipped sanctifying water and prostrated before the altar. They fell at the feet of Rishishringa
I think that's okay. Sorry, Uncle.
and
Sorry, 1 second. Okay,
Okay.
yeah,
Oh,
and proceeded to their own palaces. Sai Ram.
thank
sorry.
you very much. Sai Ram, Auntie, shall we read the Telugu?
Yeah, Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
కడకు దైవేచ్ఛ కానున్నది కాక మానదు.
So at the end, Sumitra felt without God's will, nothing will happen.
గురువాజ్ఞ రాజాజ్ఞ అని లోనికి వెళ్ళవలెనని అనుకొనుచుండగానే
She recollected the command of the Guru as well as the king, and she went inside.
ఎక్కడి నుండి వచ్చెనో ఒక గరుడు వచ్చి ఆ బంగారు గిన్నెను తన్నుకొని పోయినెను.
So from where some eagle came, as she was thinking, there was one eagle came from somewhere, and
Yeah, it took away. తన్నుకొని పోయినెను.
so it took the golden cup away.
జరిగిన ఈ అజాగ్రత్తకు చాలా విచారించి
Sumitra was repenting, or she was worried about this neglect on her side.
ఇక చేయనిది లేక ఈ విషయము రాజునకు తెలిపిన రాజేమి బాధపడునో.
What has happened if this matter is mentioned to the king? maybe the king would feel bad.
ఇది నా అశ్రద్ధ యొక్క కారణమని తలంచి
The cause of this is my neglect, thinking so.
సరాసరి అక్క దగ్గరకు వెళ్ళి
She went to her sisters.
జరిగినట్లు కౌసల్యతో తెలిపెను.
She told Kausalya what had happened.
ఇంతలో కైక కురులార్చుకొని బంగారు గిన్నె తీసుకొని కౌసల్య గృహమునకు వచ్చెను.
So at this time, Kaika dried her hair and she tied her hair, and with the golden cup came to the house of Kaushalya.
మూవురు చేరి విషయము తెలుసుకొని ఒకే ప్రేమతో అక్క చెల్లెండ్ర వలె
All three of them discussed and coming to know what had happened, like sisters with love.
అక్క చెల్లెండ్ర వలె మెలుగుచుండుట చేత రాజుకు కష్టము కలుగక.
Because they were mingling among themselves with love of sisters, they did not want to cause any grief to the king.
సుమిత్రను నిరాశకు గురి కానివ్వకుండుటకై
Without making Sumitra despair about it,
మరొక గిన్నెను తెప్పించి
they got hold of another golden cup.
కౌసల్య పాయసమునందున కొంత భాగమును
A portion of Kausalya's payasam from her cup.
కైక పాయసమునందు కొంత భాగమును
From Kausalya's portion of payasam, some portion.
ఆ గిన్నెలో వేసి సుమిత్రకు అందించిని.
They poured in that cup and gave it to Sumitra.
మూవరు భూజాగృహమున పీఠములపై కూర్చుని
Three of them went to the shrine room and they sat on an elevated place.
బయట పండితులు ఆశీర్వచనములు మంత్ర రూపముతో అందించుచుండ
While outside, the scholars were blessing with various chanting of various mantras.
ఋష్యశృంగుముని ఆశీర్వదించ
As the sage Rishishringa was blessing them,
పాయసమును భుజించి తీర్థములు స్వీకరించి
they all drank the payasam and took water, sips of water.
పూజాపీఠమునకు నమస్కరించి
They bowed down to the altar.
ఋష్యశృంగ మునికి నమస్కరించి వారి వారి నివాసములకు వెళ్ళిరి.
They also bowed down in front of Rishishringa sage and then returned to their places.
Okay, Sai Ram.
Sai Ram. Thank you, Auntie. So Sai Ram, everyone. Anyone would like to discuss any of the points here? Yes, Sanjay, please go ahead.
Sai Ram, last week, I think there was a comment or a question that was brought up about why Sumitra felt despondent initially about her son not will neither be here or there, as the English translation says. Did we discuss that completely? I know you mentioned, where Swami has praised Sumitra in several other discourses, several other places, but did we completely reconcile that or discuss that?
No, we partially only discussed. We could discuss still, because there's this continuation of that only. What made Sumitra feel that way, and was it positive?
Also,
yes.
Yeah, just connected with that, in this this section that we just read, in the second paragraph, first line, it says Sumitra repented for her negligence, but in the Telugu, I think I heard the word Ashraddaya Swami uses, right?
No, so here reconciled. You mean Sumitra repented? I think she vicharinchi is the word which is used in Telugu. That means she
Not
felt.
there. Here in the second para.
I know the Telugu word used by Swami in the Telugu version is vicharinchi. So she was, Auntie, please unmute and speak, Auntie.
Ajagratanu vicharinchi.
Yeah.
Ajagrata, that is negligence, not paying attention to what she was supposed to do.
I think repented is, I think he's asking about the word repented, Auntie.
Auntie, one place I heard you say the word Ashraddaya or something.
So Swami has used.
అశ్రద్ధ యొక్క కరెక్ట్ ఇది అశ్రద్ధ యొక్క కారణము అని తలంచి.
So Swami has used two words in Telugu. Initially he said vicharinchi, for that Swami is ajagrata. Then later on Swami said this has happened because of my negligence, which is ashraddha.
యా కరెక్ట్. అజాగ్రత్తకు చాలా విచారించి, రిపెంటింగ్ ఫర్ హర్ నెగ్లిజెన్స్.
Yeah, Ashraddha is not opposite of Shraddha.
It is.
It is.
So is it like should it be negligence, or should it be for her doubting that what God wills only will happen in the case of is that why Swami uses that word? Is where my question is.
I don't. Anyway,
so I think ajagrata means she was not careful. Okay, carelessness I think is the better word for ajagrata. Ashraddha means she was given the task of going and drinking it, the payasam. So I think the word ashraddha means she should not have been distracted by anything else. Her own mind got distracted by some thoughts, and so she did not remain focused on drinking the payasam. I think that's the way I understand. So sometimes all of us, certain actions, when we have to do, distractions always take place. The mind itself can be distracted by some thought. I think that's what she is telling me, ashraddha. That's the way I understand.
Ajagrata, carelessness.
Carelessness.
Ashraddha here, negligence.
Negligence, yes.
That can be related.
Sanjay, I hope you're okay with that.
No, the reason I was understanding it from a perspective of, after all this had been done, after all this grand propitiation had been done for Putra Kameshti, and then for this doubt to creep up, to have one's own, intention now, right? Does it show a small slip in the faith in God's plan, and she quickly realized that one thought has caused this problem, is where I was thinking. I could be completely off base, but that's where I was thinking when I heard that word.
Yeah, okay, I think we can discuss, Sanjay. Sai Satish has his hand up, so Sai Satish, please go.
Ramana, not to take it away from Sumitra, but I was just trying to go along the path what Sanjay was saying, because we have Shraddhavan Labate Jnanam. So from that part, if you see, Ashraddhavan will get Ajnanam. So in that sense, even a moment of lapse can lead one. It just shows at the level of status that Sumitra is, even a small lapse at that level, the fall is immense. In the sense, of course, if you were to look at another aspect of it, you can say man's adversity is God's opportunity. The eagle took that payasam, and that had its own ramifications of how Hanuman came. But then at that part, we see it every time in Ramayana, even at that part when um, the karma of Sita became more, then Rama was gone. For that, just that. So it shows how a person, like Swami would say, constant integrated awareness, how that has to be 24 by 7, 365 days. It means like any second that Ashraddha creeps in, then it clouds us in Ajnanam, and the consequences of that have to be borne at whatever level it is. No doubt after that we can always reconcile and say that yes, it is God's wish, that is the way things have to happen. But it shows how a moment of lapse can have its own huge consequences. So every time the mind has to be at that level of smara nityam anityatam, because if it goes to something that is anitya, then it goes to ajnana, and even it just shows just that few seconds how it cost her that divine payasam. So it says that a person of that stature also constantly one has to be, which speaks like for mortal more people like me, how much the effort has to go into aligning with people of that grand stature as Sumitra could have that moment of lapse which costs them a lot. So just wanted to add that perspective. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Sai Satish.
Sai Ram,
Sai Ram, uncle, please go ahead.
I was thinking that perhaps this thought came as probably it is ordained to happen, Otherwise, Hanuman's story will be different. So,
Thank you very much, uncle. Anyone else would like to share your thoughts? Yes, Ron or Bina?
Sai Ram, Sai Ram, everyone. Here in the last lines that three of them ate the payasam while Rishi Shringa was pronouncing his blessing, and other elders and scholars were chanting auspicious Vedic wisdom. What I was thinking that the divine figure, Divya Purush, gave the kalasha with the payasam. And then they had to take a bathe, and after bathing, a hairdo done, and they came back. And the prasadam was not taken just as it is, just taken directly. But at the same time, when they were eating, Rishi Shringa was, and all others were, scholars were chanting even Vedic hymns. So my question is, there should be some kind of a more significance in that case, if anyone can describe a little bit on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bina. It's a nice question. Anyone who would like to answer any of the points raised?
Sai Ram, uncle.
Yes, Rohit.
So Swami had once given a discourse. It was in 1989 where Swami had spoken on it was a it was a discourse on how women's role in the development of society. So in that, Swami had mentioned about how one should emulate Sumitra and Kaushalya but not KK. So how steadiness in vision and sweetness in talk will brighten your life was what Swami was explaining, and Swami mentioned how Kaushalya and Sumitra Devi must be followed but not KK. So it's kind of hard to see how Sumitra is at fault here because she didn't drop something. It was like somebody came, picked up the payasam, took it, and then that's where Lord Hanuman came about. So it's not like she dropped it, somebody picked it up, and then there was a scale of like a whole chain of events that led to Anjani Devi accidentally finding it and then Lord Hanuman coming out because of that. It was not an accident. The whole chain of events, if you read up to the birth of Lord Hanuman, it seemed like it was on purpose. So I think it's hard to say if Sumitra Devi actually made a mistake or it was a divine will. But looking at the what the consequence was and how the whole divine drama played out, it seems like it was on purpose by the gods. Thank you, Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Rohit. So I think the question is, was it totally God's will, or did Sumitra had a hand in it? I think that's the question. I think, Sanjay, just to go back to your question, see, when the
No,
Putra
sorry, Arun. I would just say I don't think there is a doubt about it being God's will. All of it is God's will. Even the bad that happens is God's will only. Um, he's just providing
yes,
the water for any plant to grow. So that part is clear. It is just each person's mind, the thoughts that come in each person's mind. That was it. Yeah, please.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, the thing is, yeah, I think in this world, everything happens with God's will. So I think that's no question about it. But is there a human agency here, or is it totally divine will and she was just an instrument, completely, uh, like a flute, God's will just works through her, I think those are the questions. Or a small indiscretion as Sumitra herself felt. I think we had to go back to Sumitra, how she felt. If she acknowledged, means there can be, God's will can work even without her thinking about it. If you take Krishna Avatar, God can even transfer fetus from one womb to the other. It's not he knows he has his own ways of doing things. And so this is all divine play, we can say, but I think there's an element of human uh, element in this experience, because Sumitra also went through a lot of pain and suffering even afterwards. So we can discuss that. I think later it will come. But the thing is, uh, when the Uttarakameshti Yajna was conducted, no one realized how things are going to unfold. The Purusha coming and the instructions being given, and Vashishta saying all three queens should be given in this order, all that. So I think they were not necessarily prepared for things suddenly happening like this. So I think it was a bit too much for her to sudden turn of events that she's also holding a cup. So with the payasam, and she may be thinking only Kaushalya would have gotten, or or Kaikeyi would have gotten. Those are things could have happened. Maybe they did not have any expectation. I think so. I think suddenly she had to digest all the developments is the way I think. So as just like all of us, when something suddenly happens, there's an initial shake-up in everyone. Kaushalya also would have been surprised, but she would have happily surprised. Kaikeyi would have also been happily surprised, but Sumitra must have always would have had this thought. When she was not the oldest wife, nor the youngest, who had certain privileges. So I think that's why maybe this was a reflection of her own thinking in the past also. Thoughts don't just come. So that must have been something which she may have at times thought about, even though, they had love among themselves. Sumitra would have always had that thought that, she's neither the older one, commanding respect from everyone, nor there's the middle child syndrome. uh, you know so it's like that, a middle wife syndrome, I think she always must have had. So I think this shows the human element in everyone, even though they were all noble people, very devout people. There's a human element in everyone, and I think the story does not cut short. They were just to show the humanness. Even in that humanness, they rose to certain divine heights, just to prove that. I think that she was always very an exalted woman, but she had certain human weaknesses, we can say, some expectations in life. I think not anything wrong with that, but I think that's why Ramayana shows, even though you're human, how do you rise above that human to a divine nature? I think just to demonstrate that it is there. As we can see, within a moment, she right away, told, it's only God's will which will happen. What am I thinking about it? That was a thought. So I think, so a small shake, and, I think some natural way she would have processed information in her own life. So it is just a reflection of that. That's what I feel. And I also want to comment on Beena's question. Beena, actually, they did not go and have a bath again. They had bath and they came for the puja. Okay, in the shrine room, and where they were handed over. But generally, when you come to pray, you are not supposed to fully dry your hair. There should be some wetness in the hair, which is generally accepted practice in any temple worship or shrine worship. So they came, accepted it, but before taking part of it, they went and dried their hair and came back, is what I understand. But I think there's a slight difference, because both Kaushalya and Kaikeyi, they kept their cups in the shrine room and went to dry. Whereas Kaikeyi took the cup in a hand, and so Sumitra took a cup in a hand and went to the terrace. So that means she was already deep in thought while she was. So she was. She did not even think clearly that she has to keep it carefully, which Kaushalya and Kaikeyi seem to have thought about and kept them in the shrine room. That's what the previous say. So you can see how when our mind runs off, we will not be able to be focused. We will lose Shraddha in anything, I think. So I will stop here. I think Sister Aruna wanted to say something or add. Yes, Sanjay, please go ahead.
No, thank you. I also like the point Satish made about that momentary lapse in faith. What how much one can fall. But you're absolutely right. I think it's the divine drama that's playing. Going back to the sentence I brought about from that previous section, right? To me, that the way it comes through in what has been written is not so much about. I don't see it as Sumitra being concerned that her son may not become a king. Rather, her concern is so much is why brings somebody into this world for that person to suffer or to not belong here or there. It's not so much that, oh, my son will not become the king. Rather, why bring another person into this world who will always neither be here or there, and why put that person through such pain and suffering? That's how it comes through to me. I thought I would just share that.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you. Sai Sati, just wait. I think Sister Aruna had something, so we'll ask.
Brother Sai Ram, sorry. I was just thinking about Sumitra's action on how she was handling the gold cup, and she's leaving on the parapet wall. She wasn't taken seriously at the beginning, but there was an order they followed, right? Giving the payasam to this person first, second, third, Kayeyi is the last. Is there any significance behind of it, or we had to wait to understand more later? I just thought of that too, so I just wanted to ask that question too. Thank you, Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, thank you, sister. So Sister Aruna has posed another question. Why this order? Was it alphabetical or not? Okay, Sai Ram, Sai Satish, please go ahead.
Paramana, I was just going to tell about the earlier point based on what you said. Two things. One is what you mentioned is that Madhyama Vyayoga in terms of the middle syndrome, the middle person syndrome, which we. But another very important thing as this discussion evolved came to me was we have mind as Manasa Sarovar in the lake of the mind. And the ripples in the lake of the mind, one, they happen due to externally when a thought, based on an external stimulus, the mind gets perturbed. or secondly, because of the inner tendencies, the mind gets disturbed, inherent vasanas. In this case, the external stimulus of the payasam not only made ripples, but it made that inherent vasana also kind of surface. So it became a combination for her. Earlier, it might have come as a passing thought, but once this payasam came, this became a dwelling thought. She started dwelling on it, and when she started dwelling on it, she went deeper into it, which led to that ajagrata, ashraddha, and all of that. So it clearly shows how in the cases where we mount that thought and go deeper into it, how it can completely mess up even a person of that high stature. So just wanted to add how the lake of the mind gets disturbed and how it can happen, an external one which amplifies the internal tendency. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Sai. Thank you. The importance of vasana, cleansing the vasanas from the chitta. Yes, Sister Vani, please go ahead.
I have a question, Brother Sai Ram. The situation that Sumitra faced, having this doubt or this confusion about why she should take payasam. I mean, life presents all of us situations like this. At some point, we may not want to do that option or take that decision, and we get confused, and we may not be at the same stage as Sumitra, that she just rose above within few minutes or few moments. We may take longer to get to that thing, or it's all God's will, and it's His will prevail. So what would be that we could practice, or to face that kind of situation? Like,
very, very, very good question, sister. So I will open it up for everyone. What should be, how we also may face similar situations. And Sister Vani's question is, how can we avoid or surmount that kind of a situation, is what she's telling. Anyone who would like to share your thoughts, please? Yes, Sai Ram, Sai Satish.
Sai Ramana. I think one of the analogies Swami has given is, I think this was a conversation with one of the boys where Swami was asking, how do we drive a car? And this is a stick shift. So Swami was asking how, and so Swami himself began to answer the question. He said, you go from first gear to second gear to third gear. And if you have to go reverse the car, then you move again to the reverse gear. And then Swami said, what do you do when you go from one gear to another gear? You apply the clutch and then you change the gear. And then Swami says the clutch that you have to apply at every point in this life is whatever happens is good for me. Whatever happens is good for me. So when we go through any situation that gives joy to another situation that gives sorrow, or again a situation that gives joy, anything that comes again and again cyclical, sukhat labhyate sukham. So from happiness we don't get happiness. So it keeps going in cyclical fashion. But anything that it changes, if we apply that clutch, that whatever happens is good for me, then it becomes a constant reminder. So anything, whether we go through the highest of happiness, we say whatever happens is good for me. When we go through the lowest points in our life, whatever happens is good for me. So if that constant practice of applying that clutch comes into place, then I think any of these situations where something that jolts us, whether it's a surprise, a pleasant surprise or an unpleasant one, we know that it is coming from Swami, and so we stay focused. It just helps us accept and stay focused in what we are doing. Sai Ram.
Thank you, Sai Satish. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts? I think as far as I know, there are two questions outstanding. One is Sister Vani's question about how do we surmount, which Sai Satish has answered, if anyone would like to add. And Sister Aruna's question, why what is that special order? So, but maybe I should turn it around and say, Sister Aruna's question was first and this question was number 2. So, Sai Ram, Shankarana, please go ahead. You may have to unmute and speak, and I think.
Sai Ram. Sai Ram. Sai Ram. Hello.
Yes.
You're able to hear?
Yes, we are able to hear.
Yeah, just to answer Sister Aruna's question, I think the order of the queens, rather, Dasarada married Kausalya first, then Sumitra, and then only last Kaikeyi, and that's why the reason I think the sage said to give it like that. I think that is the reason, I think.
Thank you very much, Anna. Thank you. Anyone else has anything to add to what has been shared?
I don't know. Would you mind stating the question, or if?
So, Sister Vani's question, so Sister Aruna's question was, Sage Vasishtha very clearly stated, first you give to Kausalya, then you give to Sumitra, then you give to Kaikeyi. So Sister Aruna wanted to know whether there's any significance in that order in which it was said, and Brother Shankar has said that's the order in which they got married. So that may have been the reason. That's what his response. The second question from Sister Vani is, we all go through these kind of challenges, at times in life. How do we, so they become indiscretion. So, we are distracted from what needs to be done. How can we avoid and how can we overcome that? Is Sister Vani's question.
Sai Ram.
Yes, Uncle.
I'm thinking, in education, each person dreams of being so and so, and what happens sometimes is you want to be an engineer, but what happens is then you cannot become an engineer, but you become an accountant. So it's a disappointment at that time, but later on, you get adjusted to that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Uncle. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts?
Sai Ram, I don't know.
Yes.
I think it was mentioned earlier. A lot of our life is led primarily based on our likes and dislikes, and that is deep rooted in us. And they are so subtle and they're so quick that they manifest themselves into a thought and then into the word or action, rather without much control from us. And as you said earlier, the purification of that by using the filter of our buddhi is the effort that will slowly help us act not from a point of our vasanas, but more so from as our nature. And at the end of the day, I think it's, as Satish mentioned in that example, in another discourse, Swami has talked about how to learn to ride the bicycle. Where you learn to ride the bicycle, you learn to ride the bicycle where there is no crowd and in an open field. And then, but once you practice and once you get the hang of it, then you will be comfortable riding it in a busy marketplace. And not just that, but while riding, you might even be having a conversation with somebody. So it is almost like that the slow refinement, the practice has to happen over probably one life or multiple lifetimes to get to the point where our true nature is responding to the situation rather than the likes and dislikes that are so powerfully but subtly deep rooted in us. I don't think there is a, I mean, it's a slow process. I don't think there is a quick a quick fix to it. That's one thing I would say. The second thing I would say is I think Swami often says if you are practicing something, let's say we put our mind to something, okay, I have this problem and I'm trying to I'm trying to work on it. Let's say a short temper, for example. I'm working on it. And it might take months, years together. But at some point, I should take stock of the progress. Have I made any progress? Am I a little better today than I was a few years ago? And Swami actually talks about taking joy in that progress and using that joy to motivate further effort. And I think that is also a critical element in this journey of being always ready to respond in the right way or respond in the right way to external stimuli, as Satish said, whether it's the vritti that's based out of external sense objects or its our own internal thoughts. So yeah, I'll stop right there. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you. Yes, Brother Rohit.
Yes, uncle. So, I think to going back to Sister Vani's question about how to avoid mistakes, I think the question comes down to the aspect of doership, right? So I would just like to read something that Swami had said in a summer course discourse in 1990. Swami had said, he means, I mean, the human being, he must also give up kartava and bhoktava, the sense of doership and enjoyership, with faith that all is Brahman, Sarvam Brahman. If one engages himself in good actions and dedicates them to the divine, one will receive God's grace and the help needed by him. So, coming back to this Sumitra question, I think if we had to look at it from a non-doership, if we, like how Swami is saying, let's remove doership from this equation. So this was always meant to happen. So I actually had another question. If we look deeper into it, Lord Vishnu, so the Vishnu Tattva of the Parabrahman, took birth as Lord Rama. Now Lord Hanumana was, everybody knows, was a Shivamsha. So a Shiva Tattva was born. So I think the question, if we look deeper into it, that I would like to ask is, why did the Shiva Tattva and the Vishnu Tattva need to be separated at that stage? Was it due to what could have the divine plan been? Why did the Shiva Tattva and the Vishnu Tattva couldn't stay together? Because from what's looking at it like that, from the Yajna, all these, it almost seems like God had bought all the characteristics necessary to defeat the Asura who was there in Lanka at that moment of time, to defeat evil on earth. So my question is, why did the Shiva Tattva and the Vishnu Tattva need to be separated at this stage of the divine drama? Thank you, Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, Rohit, before you said Hanuman is Shiva Tattva. Any very source of that information?
Yeah,
Or is it just
I had read this where so Lord, I mean, not like complete personification of Lord Shiva, but it was Shiva Amsha. So I'm just saying that the qualities of Lord Shiva is in Lord Hanuman, because Lord Hanuman was Shiva Amsha, they say. So
Okay.
yeah, it was where there's actually a story there where how Lord Shiva promised Lord Vishnu right before taking birth as Lord Rama that I will also come down to help you, because Lord Shiva was very fond of Lord Rama. I will find the source definitely, but yeah, that's my question. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, even whether Amshas are different or not, why Hanuman has to be drawn somewhere else, I think that itself is a question. We will come to that. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts, please? Yes, Sister Vani.
Can I try to answer my own question?
Yes, please.
So I was thinking, surrender, practicing surrender all the time will help us to quickly recover or rise above, would be one of my point. And also, surrendering would be what I was trying to say. Something else came to my mind, but I forgot what it was.
Thank you very much, Sister. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts? So maybe yes, Anna Shankarana, please go ahead.
Yeah, just to add what Sister Vani was saying, I think the real reason why Sumitra lost her cup is because both the other Kaikeyi and Kausalya offered it or kept the things in front of Bhagawan. And Sumitra took it elsewhere. So it's not as of offering to Bhagawan was one of the things why she had to lose the payasam. That's what I am thinking.
Thank you very much. Yes, Sai Satish.
Ramana, I just wanted to add, as Sister Vani mentioned, it just came to me. Actually, that example that Swami gave about the clutch and everything and saying whatever happens is good for me. Swami started off that question asking Sharanagati ante enti, what is surrender? And then Swami went on to give this example. So to sum up, saying that whatever happens is good for me is nothing but absolute surrender to the Lord. So it just ties back to what Sister Vani mentioned. And to Brother Rohit's question, I think in terms of the human mind, it always looks for multiplicity in unity, but the way to go beyond the mind is to look for the unity in the multiplicity. So what we do is, no doubt, of course, this is based on stories, and this is based on the whole thing of Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. We always see, that Rama is Vishnu Tattva, Hanuman is Shiva Tattva, and so on. But that is again ascribing some bit of our own perception to that divinity. I'm not saying in terms of what it is, but in general, humanity, how it looks at divinity, we ascribe based on our limited understanding, we ascribe certain aspects to it. And so we look at the multiplicity in that unity. But if we truly see, it is nothing but one absolute Sachidananda, which time and again, for the sake of humanity, takes a Rupa and Nama and comes in different forms just to help us essence that bliss. So while that part of separation and all of that gives the story a bit of color and takes it through different dramatic aspects, ultimately it is that one source, one ocean of bliss that comes to help us again go back to essence that unity rather than look at the multiplicity. But I'll stop here, Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Sai Satish. Yes, Sister Aruna.
Sai Ram, brother. First, one is question when the Sumitra had the doubt, and when once she realized all decided by God, then she found the solution. So always when you surrender yourself, that's like everything happens with the Lord will. When you realize that, then you will find a way to resolve anything that kind of only I am seeing it. And I am still, I know there's a order mentioned by Brother Shankar, but I'm still thinking about that. Why that order? I don't know. I'm just, is that the point only, or is there is anything else? Just again, I should thought of getting some clarification on that. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you, Sister. Yes, Rohit.
Yeah, I found the source, uncle. Now I remember. So it's from the Shiva Purana. It's in the Shiva Purana. There is a Shatarudra Samhita within the Shiva Purana that there is a shloka in there or a verse that goes Tatascha Samaye Tasmad Hanumaniti Nama Bhakra. So there's a whole paragraph there, and then it describes like how Lord Shiva appeared in the form of a monkey in the name of Hanuman, who was quite valorous, to assist Sri Vishnu in the fight, so in against evil. So yeah, this story is from Shiva Purana, how Lord Hanuman came from Lord Shiva.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Ronan Bina, I thought you had raised your hands and then dropped it.
Yeah, Sai Ram, just in between, I wanted to, while the discussion was about Sumitra ji was going on, I just wanted to mention on the same path that sometimes when the Bhagawan wants to do the Leela or play the role, he would make someone nimitta. So nimitta matra came to my mind to wanted to say that Sumitra just become that passing thought. It wasn't a dwelling thought. It was a passing thought that she just become a nimitta, and that's how the all lila will happen afterwards. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, sister. Any other thoughts, please? Yes, Sai Satish.
Sai Ram, I just wanted to ask Sister Aruna if she had an order in mind. So maybe that will. Was just checking with you, sister, if you had a particular order which was not tallying with the order here. I'm just on a lighter note, but I'll say that we can look at it from several aspects.
Because it was said in a way that this is the way to have it. So there could be a reason behind of it only, I'm thinking.
Yes, sister. So there are a couple of reasons for that. One is in terms what was already mentioned, that in terms of the seniority of the queens, obviously it starts with Kaushalya, then comes to Sumitra, and then to Kaikeyi. But if you also see in terms of the Sattva, Rajas, and Tamo gunas that get exhibited in each of them, you will see that the Sattva is predominant with Kaushalya, and then you can come down to the other queens in what it is. So, in terms of age, in terms of experience, in terms of how the gunas also get manifested, you see that the order that is followed is showing Kaushalya to be supreme, and usually in any kind of a sacrifice that is done, the person at the highest status is given the first preference. Then it comes down to the subsequent people. So whether you look at from a materialistic worldly framework, whether you look at like all the three akashas wise, if you see or you see from the gross, subtle, and causal, all the three levels, Kaushalya is among the three queens, she is the highest. So automatically, for the sage also to make them the worthy recipient as the first worthy recipient, it makes complete sense to go in that order. Because one is the Raja Maryada or Raja Niti that needs to be followed in the worldly realm. But other realms also, if you see, she becomes, and that's why she became the mother of Lord Rama. Nobody else can have that kind of a status. Anybody cannot have that status. So I'll stop here. In essence, it makes her a worthy recipient across all ways that you want to weigh her, whether at a physical, metaphysical, or the spiritual thing. And that's where that order would have been followed.
I got a point here. You said Kaushalya is maybe the Rishi Singha who is performing, the rishis, they would, after this discussion only, I'm thinking, they know the Rama going to come from Kaushalya. That's why he's asking to give the first thing to Kaushalya. And now I'm just thinking to myself, so I'm sharing that. Thank you.
Sai Ram
I
sister.
don't know whether that is right or not. Now only I'm thinking like that. That's the reason the Rishi would have told to Kaushalya to have the first payasam. So thank you, Sarah.
Sai Ram sister. I think the answer to your question is already in the Telugu text. Okay, the two people have raised their hands, so I will ask them. Yes, sister, brother Shankar, please go ahead.
My one question altogether. My question is, when the yajna was performed and when the payasam came, Vasishtha said to distribute to the queens equally. And then when the eagle took the payasam, there was a reduction in the portion of what they should be consuming. So does this have any consequences in the epic?
I think some of it, we will. I think Swami is discussing a little later, so I will leave it for now. Yes, Ron, Bina, please.
Sai Ram, just riffing off what Sai Satish was mentioning about the gunas and the queens, just bear with me for a moment. Just ding, something came to my mind about Kausalya being the embodiment of Sattva Guna. If we take Sumitra as being Tamoguna, because if we look at her sons are very much servile in nature and obedient, and that Kaikei is rajasic in nature. I'm just positing this as being a possibility. You have Sattva, Tamo, Rajas. Satara, Stri. Swami has mentioned that, right, the three gunas in women, Sattva is strongest, followed by Tamo in a good way, and Rajas is the weakest. It's just what crossed my mind because he mentioned this, I think, in Dharma Vahini, if I recall correctly. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Ron. Thanks. Very nice points. So I think, so to go back to what I was trying to say, Sumitra herself holds the key to this question. When she's starting to think, she's about this children going to be born, she says it is Rajaniti that Kaushalya's son should be the heir to the king. So according to Rajaniti, the seniority matters, which is always matters. Always elders have to be treated with respect, given first preference. That is Sanatana Dharma. So in the order in which their children will become the heir to the kingdom is Kaushalya's son, Sumitra's son, and then Kaikeyi's son. That is Rajaniti. That is the laid down law according to the Shastras. So that is what Vasishtha wanted to emphasize that when he distributed. Because Kaikeyi's father asking that extra thing was not necessarily fair to the queens who were older. But that's why Dasharatha came and asked their permission, their acceptance before he married Kaikeyi, because that was not a request, a clause, a demand which is supported by the Rajaniti. Okay. So whereas Vasishta as a Kula Guru has to establish a Rajaniti, so he gave it in that order, which also wishes, I guess, that the children will be born in that order. Sister Aruna, you are drawing a lot of things on the screen. Okay, sorry. So the thing is, they have to follow the same order to establish that Vasishta gave in that order. Because just to mention to people that, this is the order in which Shastras expect kingdom should pass, and we should follow that. I would say it's Rajaniti, which is what Sumitra herself is thinking. According to Rajaniti, Kaushalya will get it anyway first. According to Rajaniti, Sumitra will have to get number 2. But she says Kaikeyi also can argue her case because she had a boon. I think that was her point. So I think Rajaniti is what Vasishta followed, because as a guru, he has to establish that.
Okay.
Then talking about Sister Vani's question, I will go back to that. Why we feel upset sometimes. The problem which Sumitra faced was thinking, this is my son, and my son will not be king. And no other role other than the king is worthwhile. These thoughts are not necessarily good for anyone. So as soon as we think about me, mine, then we all get into these worldly expectations. Of course, Sumitra was quick to surrender to the divine will. She says only as God wills, things will happen. And see, generally, even to surrender, saying that it's all for our good, means only when we forget that in God's kingdom everything is good. Whatever God wills is good for everyone, not only for the individual, for the entire world. So I think the day we give up the sense of mine and I and mine, the day we give up association with the body, identifying ourselves with the body, then only we will be peaceful. The real practice is to do that. I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm the Atman. Even surrender, Swami is talking about in Gita Vahini, and I think in Gita Vahini and also in Sathya Sai Vahini, saying that I am yours, you are mine, and I and you are one. Those are the surrender. So that is identifying oneself as Atman. So I think that is a practice we need to do. If without that identifying ourselves as Atman, we will not even be able to surrender. We may say, okay, God, your will, even though I don't like it, it will be good for me. His type of attitude is not really surrender. Prapatti is knowing that the Lord is in command. He is doing everything for the welfare of the world. I have to just accept everything as prasadam. Even if sometimes it may seem bad from a worldly sense. But what is really good is for us to attain ourselves, merge with the Lord. So I think those are some practices which we can do. And Sumitra, because of that moment, my child, that thought, derailed her. But she recovered from that very fast. But also later in her life, she has been so self-sacrificing. She actually overtook even her own sisters, which is Kaushalya and Kaikeyi, and how she turned out to be later on. So that she also shows how we have to progress in life, even though we may have this kind of tendency, which is vasanas, because all the vasanas can never be erased. That means all the karmas can't be exhausted. But the only thing which we can do is transcend identification with the body and mind, and that's the only way to receive grace of God. So I thought I will share that. It's
Beautiful, brother. So is that attachment? Would you name it as attachment?
Yes, sister.
Yeah.
Attachment to ourselves.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank
I think from other study circle also you mentioned sometimes we help others so that we are the ultimate beneficiary.
you.
Yes, Sai Ram, sister. Anyone else would like to share any thought, please?
Sai Ram, no?
Yes.
A small question. While the seniority among the queens follows Kaushalya, Sumitra, and Kaikeyi, however, the sons, when you see, Bharata comes next to Rama, and then Shatrughna and Lakshmana come later. So, even otherwise, on the ascendancy of the throne, I think Bharata is naturally will get, in case Rama does not get. Is that not right?
We'll have to see in which order they were born. We'll see.
Okay.
I think that's order in which they are born is, I think, determines from what I understand. See, this is the same problem which caused problem in the Kaurava Pandava battle also. What is the Rajaniti? So, any other thought? Means it's 10, 12. I don't know whether we should read another slide. I think we covered, I think, to a great extent. Oh, Shivamsa and Yoga. Let me comment on that also. Shivamsa and I think already Sai Satish has mentioned, Shiva and Vishnu are nothing but the different functions of the same Brahman. So the Hanuman, I think he was called Shiva more because of the burning of Lanka and things like that, the amount of destructions which he did, which shows the nature of Shiva. Whereas Rama was always protective in his, even when he fought. Whereas Hanuman was like Shiva avatar when he went to Lanka and burnt the whole place down. And I think that's why he's identified with Shiva as a person who brings about total destruction. But in terms of separation, I think, we sometimes think, it was God's will that this payasam has to go to Anjani. God can do many things. He doesn't need to transport this payasam there. If he wanted to send, he would have sent. But I think how God operates is even when we mess things up, as Sai Satish earlier mentioned, that God will take it as an opportunity and use it in the best way possible. So that's always God is cleaning up after us. We miss something and then he will say, okay, how can I make this good? And he will make something better out of it. And so that's the ingenuity of the Lord, I would say. So Hanuman was temporarily, we are all separate, but no one was as close to Rama as Hanuman, even the brothers later on. So I think the attraction between Rama and Hanuman was so much that now they have become more or less synonymous. You don't think of Rama without Hanuman and you don't think of Hanuman without Rama. People may not even worship others, but Rama, no one has a temple for Lakshmana or Bharata, but there are temples and people pray to Hanuman. So he regained his original state, even though he is Tapatvidasa.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, auntie.
In Hanuman Chalisa, we come across this line, Shankara Suvana Kesari Nandana. So he is the son of Kesari also, and Amsha of Shankara. That is why he is called Shankara Suvana Kesari Nandana Tejapaha Pratap.
Kesari is the son, auntie?
Kesari is father.
Father's.
Anjani's husband.
Anjani's husband is also Kesari.
Kesari Nandana. Sai Ram.
Thank you, auntie. Thank you. So Tulsidas also found Shiva Tattva there. Okay, thank you. So it's 10:50. Yes, Sai Satish.
Saramana, I just wanted to add to what you're saying that if we go to Puttaparthi also, if you see the Hillview Stadium, what you see is Hanuman on the top. The Lord always places the devotee at the top. So always, all other statues and things you'll see at a lower level, but you'll see the devotee as a shining example doing work in action of carrying Sanjeevani, which is like anywhere from far itself, as you're entering Parthi, you can see what is the status that the Lord gives to a true devotee. So just wanted to add to that. Sai Ram.
Thank you, Sesha. I think we can close the session for today and meet again next week. Thank you, everyone. We will meet next week. Sai Ram. We'll close with Samastaloka prayer. Sai Ram. Om Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, thank you.